Good morning. This meeting of the Blair County Board of Commissioners will come to order. We'll begin with a moment of silent reflection, after which we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cole, can you do a roll call for us, please?
If there's anyone joining us remotely at this time, if you could please state your name. Not hearing anyone, sir. That is roll, and I will warn Melissa, my internet is unstable, so we'll want to take good notes because we are not going to have a recording.
Duly noted. Under item 5, you'll see the schedule of upcoming meetings. And Nicole, executive session announcement.
Yes, the 3 commissioners, myself and Solicitor Karn, will meet immediately following today's commissioners meeting for acquisition of land discussion.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioners received meeting minutes for the August 29th and 31st board meetings. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Commissioner Webster, I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
They are approved, and we'll move on and open this meeting at this point to any public comment. All right, hearing none. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Webster.
Thank you. I just wanted to announce that this afternoon, we commissioners will be attending and participating in a ribbon cutting event at Valley View Park. We will be celebrating the new amphitheater that is there. We would like to thank the Park and Recreation Board, as well as the contractors and suppliers and our building maintenance and highway departments for their work on this project. And I hope that many groups and citizens of the area will have the opportunity to avail themselves of this beautiful place. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Webster. Commissioner Burke.
I would like to recognize Leah Shackley from Bedford County, who trains at the Blair Regional YMCA. She won 2 gold medals at the World Junior Championships in Israel last week. One is part of a medley relay and one for the 50-meter fly. And then she also won a silver medal for the 100-meter fly. So we're looking forward to seeing what else she does in her swimming career.
Yeah, she has been absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. We do have a proclamation today, and I'm just going to ask Commissioner Brooks if she would take care of that matter for us.
Yeah. This is a proclamation to proclaim September 12th through 16th of 2023 as Child Welfare Worker Appreciation Week. Whereas every day in Pennsylvania, thousands of children are at risk of child abuse and neglect or have been removed from their homes due to such abuse and neglect. And whereas the employees of Blair County Children, Youth, and Families have recognized the risks and have tasked themselves with the hard work of investigating child abuse, providing services to families, assessing safety, and initiating steps to protect children and providing support services to Blair County's children. And whereas the work of child welfare workers requires them to enter into situations in which their personal safety may be put at risk on a daily basis. And whereas child welfare workers work in severely trying emotional situations with children who have been victimized by physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, and other forms of maltreatment. And whereas to be successful, child welfare workers must develop great skill in working with families who are in crisis situations, struggling with mental health challenges, suffering from drug and alcohol conditions, poverty, and other difficult issues. And whereas child welfare workers selflessly undertake the endeavor to protect Pennsylvania's children, often with low pay, long hours, tremendous demands, little appreciation, and great criticism, and with dramatic impacts to their personal life. And whereas in 2022, county child welfare employees in Pennsylvania investigated over 39,000 reports of child abuse and neglect, including over 2,800 reports here in Blair County. And whereas the efforts of child welfare workers have prevented innumerable injuries and deaths of children and have achieved safety, permanency, and well-being for countless children. Now, therefore, the Board of Blair County Commissioners do hereby proclaim the week of September 11th to 15th, 2023 as Child Welfare Worker Appreciation Week and encourage all citizens to recognize the invaluable service and sacrifice of our county's dedicated child welfare workers. I would put that in the form of a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Commissioner Webster, second.
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Is it please? Would you like to make a presentation?
Sure. We do have a couple of our CYF employees here. I think I saw Tiffany and Mindy. And if you'd like to come forward and have a presentation, we can do that. I also have some additional comments.
Whichever, however you want to.
Okay. Okay. I actually edited this from last year's wording, and that's partly why there were a few typos that I stumbled over when reading it. But when I edited it, we had included the word caseworker instead of just worker in the version we used last year. And I actually took that out because the national recognition for this week is simply workers and not just caseworkers. So we do want to recognize that we're not just celebrating our caseworkers this week, but we're recognizing everyone in the department, including our solicitors and our SWAN paralegals who are not actually county employees. But everyone in the office plays a role in supporting the caseworkers, ensuring the safety of children, and making sure that we are doing our best to fulfill the mission of the agency. And as you all know, we've had a rough few years in CYF. It's been just over a year since Tiffany was hired as our administrator. And at that point, we really began to innovate, at least by county standards, the way we were recruiting and hiring employees. So I did want to share a brief update on our hiring. Over the course of the past year, beginning on August 29th, when Tiffany was hired, we have hired a total of 29 people into the agency. There have been 6 resignations and 1 retirement in that time. So we've had a net gain of 22 people. And not counted in the 7 losses are a few employees who moved from full-time to part-time status. And so even though we would have loved to have kept them in full-time positions, the existence of those part-time positions allowed us to keep their expertise while also accommodating their need for reduced hours. I'm also proud to say that included in the 22 people that we have retained over the course of the past year are 4 former employees who returned to the agency. From our low point of 5 full-time caseworkers, last fall we now have 10 full-time caseworkers and 7 part-time caseworkers, and we have 1 anticipated full-time person starting next month. So we obviously have a long way to go to regain a healthy staffing level, but we're slowly and surely increasing our numbers. So again, to emphasize our 2 big successes, those have been implementing the part-time positions, which are 87% full with just 1 vacancy, and also using the temporary positions to hire into the support units. And we currently have all of the temporary positions except 1, which was recently vacated due to a promotion filled. So those have been big supports for the agency as a whole. And hiring caseworkers continues to be a challenge even with our current sign-on bonuses. And this is reflective of an overall workforce shortage in the social services and other helping professions. I think that without concentrated effort to reduce the cost of education and training, or to also increase pay across the profession, we will continue to struggle not just within county CYF agencies, but in all areas of social work. And there are, I think, concentrated efforts at the state level to address both nursing shortages and teacher shortages, and I believe that something similar needs to be implemented in the field of social work. So over the past year, I've seen an increase in morale in the department, a stronger sense of teamwork, and a determination to move forward to improve the services that we are providing. And this is all a credit to our employees who choose to show up every day and work for the community, and they are well deserving of this special recognition. So we'll have a few different special things going on this week and toward the end of the month to celebrate them.
Well stated.
I don't, Tiffany, do you want to come up?
Want to say anything, or at least receive it?
I will actually present it tomorrow at the all staff meeting, if that's okay with you. So, and we also have licensing going on these 3 days. So a gift from the state to show their appreciation.
Right, the one thing I will ask, just housekeeping wise, for anyone who came in after the meeting had started, if you haven't, if you would please sign on the sign-in sheet so we have your names for the minutes, that would be great. Thank you. Consent agenda.
Did we vote on the proclamation?
Oh,
Yes.
We did?
Yes.
Okay, good. I missed it. Great. All right, so today's consent agenda, I do have one edit, and I will point that out when we get to that section of the consent agenda. Today's resolution is 436. It's the payment of 5 warrant lists as outlined in your agenda in item A. That does include a payment to Thomas and Chandra Jandora in the amount of $1,550. It's the ratification of 9 warrant lists as outlined in item B. It's the ratification of total payroll for the check dated 9/8/23 in the total amount of $856,327.05. It's budget transfers and items D, E, F, G, H. It's a Valley View Park Amphitheater project requesting approval for the contractor's application number 3 for John Clark. That would be for general contracting services in the total amount of $9,310.01. And it's also an application and certificate of payment number 3 from Stelco and number 4 from Stelco. Those amounts are $6,326.19, $6,239.45 respectively. I'm sorry. County Road 101, we're requesting approval for the closure from Church Street to Oakdale Avenue, Claysburg, PA, on Friday the 29th from 4 to 6:30 to conduct the annual Claysburg Kimmel Homecoming Parade. Its employments, resignations, and employment status changes outlined in item L, M, and N. The change does fall under item M. The effective date for Jessica Rodriguez's resignation is to be now 9/22/23. It was moved from 9/8 as listed on your agenda.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Commissioner Webster, I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I am an aye with an abstention to the payment to Thomas and Chandra Jandora.
Very good. The consent agenda is approved with the abstention as noted, and we'll begin through item 12 under staff reports and special business and begin with the agricultural land preservation program. And we have Rich Heater with us this morning for 2 items. Good morning, Rich.
Good morning. So the first item we have on the agenda is for a signed agreement of sale on behalf of Blair County Ag Land Preservation Board. This agreement of sale will be for the 61st ag easement in Blair County. This will be with Brian and Rachel Detweiler and Joseph and Vivela McCutcheon Farm. The owners are offering 168.58 acres of the farm for conservation easement. The total easement value is $300,072.40. We are looking for the county to contribute $95,000 from our funding allocation, and that comes from the Act 13 funds. So on behalf of the Ag Land Preservation Board, I do request your approval.
Any questions for Rich?
I just have one question. This will be paid next year?
Yes.
Okay, because I was thinking, I'm not quite sure that we have that amount in our Act 13 monies, do we?
This was money that was allocated for
We
23.
already allocated?
Yes, this money's
Okay,
already been
okay.
allocated.
Okay. I was looking at what's remaining then. Thank you. Good, I'm glad. This is a great program, and I don't want it to stop.
Let's go with yours.
The second one is, will be for the 62nd farm for an easement. This will be with James and Linda Negley Farm. The owners are offering 124.52 acres for the easement. The total easement value will be $262,737.20. We are looking to use $85,000 of county funds that were allocated to the Ag Land Preservation Board, again from Act 13 money. The addition of both of these farms will bring the county totals to 62 farms and almost 9,080 acres under permanent easement. So we do ask for your approval on that also.
Questions for Rich?
Is there a end goal of how many total acres need to be preserved in our county?
All of it.
All of it? Okay. What happens, so, I'll ask that later.
I think a couple things to point out that are important. And Blair County is one of the leaders, particularly in this area, in terms of commitment to this program. And we appreciate the work of Rich and his coworkers and the Farmland Preservation Board in getting us there. But I think it's good to notice too that, and to note the geographic dispersion here again, once we have one in the northern part of the county and one kind of in the southeastern part of the county, so that, it's not all concentrated in one area, but much of it is contiguous.
Yes.
And so it really, I think, is really in keeping with the whole purpose of farmland preservation and the act established.
So also just wanted to note that thanks to your continued support for this program in 2023, you did allocate $100,000 of the Act 13 funds for this program. That brought in an additional $316,101 in state funds. So over 3 to 1 that we're bringing in. Also, since the inception of the program in 1991, the program has infused over $10 million into our local economy while preserving all of this farmland for permanent use as farm ground. And that's on the 62 easements. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. We'll take care of that on Thursday's business session. Thank you, Rich. Going to item B for social services, and first it's annual plan time, and Trish Messina, our social services director, is here to discuss that.
Good morning. I am here requesting approval to submit the fiscal year 23-24 Human Services Block Grant Annual Plan to the Department of Human Services. You should have all received a copy of the plan, I believe.
Trish, there weren't any real substantive changes this year, were there?
No, it's very similar to last year. There were really no changes at all, other than a few pieces switching places.
We do note in the agenda material here that the county does have a match on this. It's 4.47% of the
Correct.
applications.
Correct.
Right, we'll take that on to Thursday's meeting and approve that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia. And our second item is CDBG budget revision, as well as some other things. And Trinelli.
Good morning. So the first item I have is a budget revision for our fiscal year 2021 CDBG contract number 82572. What we're doing is actually a budget revision is actually 3 existing projects. We're just moving money between the 3 of them. The first 2 items, the Allegheny Township and the Freedom Township water, the Allegheny Township sewer laterals and the Freedom Township water laterals, both those projects are completed. So there was funds remaining, is why we're moving these funds around. The Allegheny Township, we're reducing the existing funding is $35,000. We're reducing that. The remaining funds are $3,090. For Freedom Township, we initially funded it at $100,000. We're reducing that down to $45,121, which gives us a leftover remaining balance of $57,969. We're recommending that be reallocated, put that back into housing rehab. Both projects were, we pulled money out of housing rehab to make sure we had enough money to fund both of those projects because we had more than expected interest in or applications for those 2 projects. So we're recommending putting the funding back into housing rehab to increase it from $71,973 to $129,942. $57,000 that'll allow us to do probably an additional unit under our non-entitlements. Is there any questions?
Every one of those units is important as
Yeah.
segues kind of into the next
Yeah.
item. We'll
Yep,
take a
so as I
quick
said,
look.
I wanted to bring just some numbers. So Freedom Township, we did complete 13 water laterals in Freedom Township, and then in Allegheny Township, we did connect 5 units to sewer. So the next item for discussion is our fiscal year 2023 application, CDBG application. For fiscal year 2023, the county will receive $248,366. That is to be used within the 17 non-entitlement communities. Back in July, the county held a public hearing to take public comments on selection of projects. We received no comments at that time. We also are required to submit those requests to our 17 non-entitlement communities, and we've received no requests. So at this time, because I have 86, I believe, applications sitting up there in the non-entitlements, I'm recommending that we allocate fiscal year 2023 to housing rehabilitation, for owner-occupied housing rehabilitation.
I mean, even that just makes a small dent
Correct.
in the backlog of applications we have on that. Questions for Trina? Trina, can I ask you one other thing, not for now, but as the applications continue to come in on the whole home program, which again falls into this kind of same sphere of
Correct.
of services, maybe you could get on the agenda sometime just to give us an update report on where we stand
Yes.
on that.
Yep.
Or
We
either
need
that
to.
or the next time that you're addressing one of
Yep,
the housing
we
issues so that we
discussed
know
that,
it's.
yes, we do need to. We do need to, like I said, at least discuss either, at least temporarily pausing the application. So in addition to my regular applications, I think we have like 80-something up there for our regular rehab program, and then we probably have an additional 80 for our whole home
So far.
so far. So
Are
I
they still
think we at
coming in?
least, yeah, so we need to at least probably pause that and try to address what we have. As I said, we'll discuss it at maybe, but there has been some discussion, maybe additional funding, whether what, so it could be paused temporarily and then restarted.
Other questions for Trina? Thanks very much.
Right,
We'll take
awesome, thank
we'll
you.
take Thursday as well. And back to children, youth, and families. The double team today.
I brought
Good
reinforcement.
morning.
All right, so first we're requesting approval of the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services Child Welfare Information System Data Sharing Agreement to disclose and exchange information to Pennsylvania's county children and youth agencies for the period of October 1st, 23 through September 30th, 2024.
Any questions for Mindy?
All right. Then we're requesting approval for the submission of the Blair County Children, Youth, and Families fiscal year 23-24 implementation plan and the fiscal year 24-25 needs-based plan and budget to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania as outlined below. You're ready for questions if you have any.
I was just going to ask if there are any like large changes or highlights that you want to summarize for us.
So we did, with emphasis on hiring, we did implement around 31 new employees for 23-24. And then we didn't include any more for 24-25, just knowing that people quit, we're not going to have a full complement, things come up. So we did adjust for that. And then we also had a pretty high increase in secured residentials with more complex cases coming up. We do have, at least 7 kids right now that are in care and expected to be in care until they're 18. So it'll go fully through 23-24 and 24-25. So that was almost a $500,000 increase.
We also added a new provider in to provide reunification, family preservation, family group decision-making, family finding, and truancy programming throughout the, currently on like our Williamsburg, Tyrone area, with the hopes that next year it might spread out. But just because we have a wait list for reunification and family preservation currently, so we need to broaden our provider network at this point.
That was where I was kind of interested in the same thing as the Human Service Block Grant, where there was any expansion. Would there, I think in the long term, be hopes of bringing them, if the staffing crisis could ever be fully addressed, bringing some of those services back in, family reunification, some of those things back into the in-house.
Long-term goal.
Yeah, and I did say that long. I realize that won't be in the next year or two, or probably longer, but.
Do you, I know we talked to Mindy last week when you made the submission, and it was still a week out, and we talked about the numbers could have changed with any last-minute budget. So is everything on the agenda still good, and do you anticipate it?
Yeah, I might, Leslie from CAI is just reading over my, like, narrative part, my explanations and things like that, make sure everything that makes sense in my head would make sense to you, and then if I need to send anything, I will before Thursday, probably today or tomorrow.
Great.
But the numbers should be pretty close to the same.
Okay, thank you. Just in time to get your county budget done.
Yay.
Well, you at least have a more legitimate excuse for being late than anyone else would have.
We did put our numbers in, so Lindsay
would
wouldn't be mad at us. We did get our numbers in, so hopefully it's close to the same with county budget as well.
Good. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Take that to Thursday's agenda as well. And a familiar item and a familiar face, Deputy Warden Whitesell, and the prison food and non-food items.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jay.
After some errors, we got through the bid process, and we're requesting approval of the award of bids received for food and non-food items for the Blair County Prison. We had 4 bidders, 5 bidders.
And Jay, I know that this is hard because this is literally the spreadsheet of all the items. It's multiple pages with multiple items. Are we awarding to the lowest bidder per line? So we'll have a couple different vendors now, or how? Can you explain a little bit of how we're awarding today?
I'm assuming we're going with the bidders per line. That's what I talked to Brooke about. So we do have the United Sales Corp bid on 3 items. They're the lowest bidder on 3 paper items. Feasers bid lower than U.S. Foods on certain items. So I'm assuming we can go line by line. I've already discussed it with Brooke that if that's the way that we want to go with it, that she'll have to order the lowest bidder from those items.
And the last time I remember we bid something, we decided to not order from a certain vendor because there was a minimum purchase. Is that the same? Is that the case with United Sales USA Corp? Is there a minimum to buy or to have brought here on site?
I assume that, I'm not sure, ma'am.
Okay.
Because that or just because,
Well, I just want to make sure that we're not, yes, it looks lower on paper, but if we're going to get a higher shipping cost, or they're not going to bring it until we have a certain dollar amount of an order, I think that those are all very good questions to get answered maybe before you award the bid. So, and I apologize, I was out at a board meeting, as you know, in Harrisburg on Thursday and Friday, and didn't get to watch this as it percolated through the emails and multiple questions. So I'm just a little bit equally unprepared for this and was hoping that the prison had some better answers. But we can certainly hold this on the agenda until Thursday. We're certainly within our time frame. It's just we're being held price-wise to U.S. Foods, which isn't the lowest now that we have these numbers in. So as soon as we get these bids approved, we can start ordering from the lower supplier numbers. So it would be a recommendation to hold off at this time.
I think we were going to do that anyway, so
Okay.
just to so that we can, are there any other questions that we want answered before the meeting on Thursday.
And then I think the only other outstanding item was Solicitor Karn said that it went through pen bid, so we assume that everything went well through the bidding system, but were there any hiccups that we should be made aware of as the board before we,
Not that I'm aware of now.
okay, yeah, those are, I mean, usually with pen bid, it catches those mistakes and there's not bid bonds or insurance that we have to worry about or anything like that. So we shouldn't have had any hiccups, but I did want to make that question out there, put that question out there.
The only comment that I had was if there is a minimum for the paper products and styrofoam and things like that, you can always certainly order a bulk amount, and then if there's a minimum, and that's not going to be a big deal. And
Yeah,
for
we'll
some of
look
the
at
dry
that.
foods, but obviously for fresh meats, that's not something that's going to work.
Yeah, there's a decision to be made there, and I'm glad you have Brooke behind you because she can certainly look at that. Storage is an issue at the prison, but we do have the highway garage. We can always transfer back and forth. We have some space here at the courthouse that we could always store if it does mean a much lower price. So we will take that into consideration for Thursday as well, so that'll be good.
We'll revisit this on Thursday and hopefully have some more information that would be helpful.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
We've reached the end of our special reports and requests. We have no old business, and therefore we will adjourn at this time and thank everyone for their participation in this morning's meeting.